Sure is hot. Hi, I'm Johnny Mack with your daily comedy news. Jimmy Fallon said President Biden announced new executive actions to address the climate crisis just in time. It's 115 degrees outside. Unfortunately, Biden's speech was cut short when the teleprompter burst into flames. Colbert. So the president held a press conference to announce new steps to combat climate change, but stopped short of declaring a national emergency. Yeah, you don't want to call a climate emergency too early. You got to wait until our internal temperature is 165 degrees in the thigh. Then we're safe to eat, Fallon. Seriously, even the climate change deniers were like, do you mind if we protest inside? It's hot as hell out here. Colbert, it's so hot in the city. Times Square had a naked cowboy and a shaved Elmo. Dave Chappelle was canceled. Yes, he was actually canceled. Dave Chappelle's scheduled appearance Wednesday at First Avenue in Minneapolis, told you about that yesterday, did not take place. The club apologized after facing backlash for booking comedian Dave Chappelle. Hours before the show was set to begin, First Avenue's Instagram account posted a statement announcing that Chappelle's performance would now take place at the Varsity Theater. In that statement, the Dave Chappelle show tonight at First Avenue has been canceled and is moving to the Varsity Theater. To staff, artists, and our community, we hear you, and we're sorry. We know we must hold ourselves to the highest standards, and we know we let you down. We're not just a black box with people in it, and we understand that First Ave is not just a room, but meaningful beyond our walls. The First Avenue team and you have worked hard to make our venues the safest spaces in the country, and we will continue that mission. We believe in diverse voices and the freedom of artistic expression, but in honoring that, we lost sight of the impact this would have. The Varsity Theater went on Twitter and said, "Attention, Dave Chappelle fans!" exclamation point. The show scheduled for tonight at First Avenue has been moved to the Varsity Theater. The Minneapolis Star-Tribune reported that 50 people still protested the show. The Star-Tribune says both sides engaged in animated and sometimes profane exchanges, at times standing only inches apart on the sidewalk in front of the theater. Aaron Bell from Minneapolis was a showgoer. He was hit by an egg. Dude, don't throw eggs at people just going to see a comedy show. The egg was thrown from a screaming man that onlookers believed wasn't even part of the protest. Aaron Bell said, "I wasn't expecting these kinds of numbers." The protesters chanted, "Trans rights matter." Some asked fans to show support by leaving the line for the event, which wound its way for more than 3 blocks through Dinkytown. Tickets for Chappelle's Wednesday performance at First Avenue were originally priced at $129. But according to this article, ticket brokers grabbed the bulk of the tickets as soon as they went on sale. The writer says he looked for tickets online and had to pay $350. Wow. That's insane. Don't do that. Chappelle's wonderful and all, but stay home. He'll eventually put something on Netflix. Don't pay $350 for a comedy show. What are you doing? The writer said, for that kind of dough, you hope the comedian would have a special surprise. Maybe Jon Stewart popping out of a cake. I still wouldn't be like, that was worth $350. Hey, yeah, Jon Stewart popped out of a cake. Yay. The writer adds, that's not as crazy as it sounds. During his Twin Cities appearances last November at the Target Center, Chappelle brought out Usher and Justin Bieber for mini concerts. That would actually annoy me. I'm not a fan of either of their music. I'd be like, can we get back to the jokes? Why is Justin Bieber performing a song? I don't want to hear this. Marshall Brandon delivered a smart but unspectacular opening set. Dave Chappelle emerged in a white untucked t-shirt and blue jeans. He chain-smoked cigarettes. He sipped tequila throughout the 1-hour set. A reasonable running time for most comics, but a disappointment for those who've been treated to Chappelle's 3-hour concerts that turned into therapy sessions. Chappelle spent much of his time on stage talking about the anger he stirred up in the past year. He went into detail about an incident in May where the man tackled him on the Hollywood Bowl stage. Chappelle also ridiculed protesters who had spent a few hours outside the Varsity. Chappelle referred to them as a small group of transgender lunatics and joked that they were probably hired by his wife, determined to suck the joy out of his life. He also shrugged off the idea that they posed any real threat. Chappelle said, according to the article, "I can see a transgender hit squad coming from a mile away." Early in the set, Chappelle seemed sympathetic, sharing that he'd heard children of some First Avenue staffers had been threatened, but after a few glasses of booze, he admitted that the cancellation had been devastating and hoped the club would be more courageous in the future. He found time to try out some new material. He chided a woman in the front row for wearing a mask. He called monkeypox a gay disease. No, did you really, Dave? Ugh. And accused The Price is Right of being racist. He peaked early with a hilarious bit explaining to his son why he spends time in strip joints. The evening's most somber moment came during an anecdote about how he stood up to Russian mobsters who he believed ruined his first HBO special. It was a revealing example of Chappelle's fortitude. All right, that was some pretty big news there that bumped what I had in the number one spot, which was Joe Rogan once again for the third day. This time, Joe Rogan making headlines from that same Tom Segura interview. What people zoned in on is that Rogan called Donald Trump a ManBaby. Segura had said, even as you watch Trump as president, he was full of effing energy. They say he slept like 4 hours a night. He was one of those people. Rogan interrupted, suggested that Trump was on Adderall, and he asked Tom Segura if he believed Trump was using Adderall. From the transcript, Segura, yeah, only because there were multiple people who used to work on The Apprentice that were like, Trump was effing gassed up for shoots. That's because he has trouble reading. He would struggle to read the prompter or script when he was just sober, so they'd give him that, and he would dial in more on the reading because he gets very bored. They then started talking about the CIA briefings and talked about how the briefings would put Trump's name in the report several times to make him engage on it. They talked about how they would put 2 pieces of good news before any bad news. Segura said that's how they would tell him the bad news. They just couldn't go, here's a bunch of bad news. Rogan said, of course, he's a ManBaby. And that's your headline. Segura added, he's an effing toddler. Bert Kreischer went on social media and announced the new stand-up special for Netflix. It'll be his third. This will be taped at the Orpheum Theater in Nebraska, November 28th. 2 shows, 7 and 9:30. And ahts-ko, oh-kats'ka. I've been saying her name wrong. I am the Ralph Kiner of comedy. If you're from New York, you know what that means. I get names wrong sometimes. I really try. Anytime I'm not sure of somebody's name, I go on YouTube and I try and watch a clip and see if like somebody professional has introduced them. And a lot of times I can't find the pronunciation because when stand-up clips get posted online, they usually clip out the intro. So I apologize. ahts-ko, oh-kats'ka. And I've got the phonetic. You want me to read to you? ahts-ko. New word. oh-kats apostrophe ka. Well, she's got a new stand-up special coming out. This will be for HBO. They'll tape it in the fall, which means it'll probably air in early 23. She said, I'm so excited to work with HBO and what my family calls an hour of you talking funny. That's what I'll be doing, but normal enough so you'll know what I'm saying. I wrote this special when I realized all the things that made me feel like a freak growing up were actually my superpowers, and I hope you'll feel that way too after watching. This one's for the weirdos, the lovers, those who got picked last or even first but not on the team you wanted to be on, and it's also for you with the HBO password. All right, man, today's the last day to vote in my not well thought out contest. Who's got the better dating game? We're not talking about funnier. I think we know who's funnier. Who's got the better dating game? Is it John Mulaney, presently in a relationship with Olivia Munn, or Pete Davidson, currently in a relationship with Kim Kardashian? Who do you think's got the better game? Last I counted, Mulaney was slightly ahead to my surprise. So how do you participate? Go on the Facebook group, Daily Comedy News Podcast group, find the picture of Mulaney and Davidson and jump in on the comments, or do the same thing on Instagram at Daily Comedy News. Let's see who is at Just for Laughs Montreal tonight. I've got my bookmark here, July 22nd, 7 o'clock Nasty Show, 7 o'clock Just for the Culture, 7 o'clock ahts-ko, oh-kats'ka, 8:30 Randy Feldface, 9:30 Nasty Show, 9:30 Just for the Culture, 10 o'clock Reese Nicholson, 11:59 p.m. Midnight Surprise. Do you listen to Conan O'Brien's podcast? If you do, you know who his assistant Sona is. She's a major player on that show. She's got a new book. It's called World's Worst Assistant. And I like this story she told. This is when the whole Tonight Show debacle was going down. And Sona wrote, Conan didn't love all the attention, especially when there was so much uncertainty around his career, so he asked me to give him a ride to work. Why me? Easy, because no one would believe that Conan O'Brien would drive around L.A. in a white 2007 Volkswagen Jetta. He was right. For 2 weeks, I drove from Pasadena to Brentwood, picked Conan up, and drove us both to work. Not a single member of the paparazzi knew where he went. We would drive straight through the throngs of photographers, and I'd park in his spot at the studio like a baller, with him crouching in the back seat so nobody would see him. Jeff Goldblum, who probably should be in the Mac Pack. You know, he would fit in the Mac Pack. If you're new to the Mac Pack, these are my celebrity crushes. It's Tom Cavanaugh from The Flash and Ed. It's Michael Chiklis. It's Keegan-Michael Key. It's Andy Samberg. Henry Winkler is the newest installment in the Mac Pack. Jeff Goldblum could run with us. I don't know what we do or where we go or why we're all together, but Jeff Goldblum, let's think about it. Let me know if you think Jeff Goldblum should be in the Mac Pack. Anyway, he's going to play Greek god Zeus in Netflix's new dark comedy series Chaos, K-A-O-S. He's replacing Hugh Grant, who originally was going to play Zeus, and Hugh Grant wouldn't fit in the Mac Pack. Like, I can't see any scenario where, like, I'm hanging out with Hugh Grant and we have anything in common. I have nothing against Hugh Grant. I don't know what we would do or we talk about. In chaos, Jeff Goldblum's Zeus is an all-powerful yet desperately insecure and vengeful character. The series will follow the king of the gods as he wakes up one morning discovering a wrinkle on his forehead, and he becomes paranoid that his reign will soon be over. This will air on Netflix, so it'll probably be canceled after 1 year. Don't get too attached. And that's your comedy news for today. There are normal episodes tomorrow. I know this because Saturday's in the can, and I'm going to do Sunday next. Follow the show for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your shows. If you're one of those premium subscribers, that's right, $5 on Apple Podcasts, first month free, you'll get the episodes early. Oh yeah, right now. You could be listening to those Saturday and Sunday episodes because they're up there on Apple for the premium crowd. That's right, baby. Oh, and I had coffee stories. So I went to National Donuts Chain this morning, and I was thinking of you guys because you know when there's like, you just want to get your coffee off the tray, and there's one of those people that like stands in front of the counter with the napkins and the straws, and they like stand there forever, and they put like 19 sugars, and it's like, can you just like read the room and maybe move half an inch so I can get my coffee? Sir, that guy annoyed me. But National Donuts Chain has some sort of brown sugar cold brew that I got yesterday as my second coffee of the day because it's been hot. Wherever you live, I bet it's been hot. So I went for a second coffee yesterday. And the brown sugar cold brew thingy, pretty darn good. But they're not free, man. So buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/dailycomedynews. Good way to support the show. And I'll give you a shout out and let you know I love you. See you tomorrow.